Alright, yeah, welcome back to tutorial. I think this is part 2. I'm going to set the timer on my phone for 20 minutes. Okay, so in our last part we made the hilt and we made the handle guard, sorry, the handle and the handle guard. Okay, so in this tutorial what we're going to try and make now is we're going to try and make this part, this lovely yellow part, the hilt, I guess. Um, I just also want to make a disclaimer that obviously I am not a student of 3D modeling. I've never taken 3D modeling classes. Everything that I've learned was from Google and from trial and error. And if anything I've said that is incorrect or offended anyone, please accept my sincerest apologies. Um, also, if I've said anything wrong as well, please let me know in the comment section. I mean, I'm still learning. Everyone's still learning. Um, yeah, just want to put that out first before I accidentally offend anyone. Okay, so now that we've made the handle and the handle guard, let's now make this hilt part area. And we're going to start off by clicking anywhere on the page while in object mode. Alright, once again change the locations to X, Y, and change the locations for X and Y to 0. And you'll find yourself in the center of the hilt area. And what I want you to do now is again hit plane, and then hit tab to go into edit mode. Hit X, vertices, and deletes everything. Alright. So now this is a curious looking object, right? I don't think we can really make that by using our standard preset shapes. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and make it from scratch. Now it's very simple to make. To insert a vertex anywhere on the page, what you need to do is you need to hold down Control, and then you need to left click. Can you see this orange dot here? That's basically a vertex. You can move that vertex as well by right clicking and dragging. So I'm moving it. Can you see? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it as close as possible to the y-axis. Scroll up to transform, click transform, and you can see that it's not quite zeroed out on the x-axis or the y-axis for that matter. Change the settings for the x and y axis to 0, and the vertex will be smack bang zeroed on the x and the y-axis. Alright. Sometimes this cursor thing can be annoying, especially when you're modeling, since it tends to get in the way of adding new vertices, like especially when you want to add new vertices in this direction. This red arrow sometimes gets clicked accidentally and it ends up moving the previous vertex, and that can become a pain. So I tend to switch it off. Just click down here and it will disappear. Now, to connect two vertices together, you can either make two vertices. So this vertex has been highlighted already, so I'll unhighlight it by pressing A, and you see it's now black, and I can add another vertex here. Right? So it's orange. Orange is usually the color of the one you recently added. To select two vertices at the same time, you want to hold down shift and then select the two vertices, and then hit F, and F will basically connect them together. Okay? So and then you can also move them afterwards as well by either hitting G on the keyboard and then moving the mouse, or you can right and hold click right there. You can hold down and right click the mouse to move it. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay? Alright, so let's get to it. So we've got this one down here. We're going to try and see if we can get down this shape. So the interesting thing about 3D modeling is that if you're not using preset shapes, everything starts from a plane. So everything starts flat, and then gradually we will make it pop up into a 3D object. Okay, so let's start now. So once a vertex has been highlighted white orangey, to add a new vertex, basically just hold down Control and click anywhere on the page, and you will add a vertex like so. And as you can see, I'm just basically tracing it. Okay. This last vertex down here is not smack bang in the 0 of the x and y axis, so we have to once again change it. Usually it's in transform. So this cursor here, this cursor position is the 3D cursor, and then if you're dealing with vertices, it's usually in the transform area. So if you look here, and if I click here, it changes, right? But then if I change the location of the 3D cursor by left click to change the location of 3D cursor, and right click to select the vertices. Alright, so we're gonna zero this out. So it's now 0, 0, smack bang in the center. And then what we're gonna do is, it's gonna be hard modeling. As you can see, these things will be blocking your view, so we can turn them off. This eye icon, you can click it to make it show its eye. Okay, and then now it is gone. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to make the bottom part. As you can see, this vertex has been selected. If we click here, it's going to send an edge and a vertex up this way. We don't want that, so I'll Control Z. To unhighlight this, hit A, and it will be unhighlighted, and then you can start again by making another one. Alright then, so this is not zeroed. I will zero this part out, and neither is this bottom part. Now you may be wondering why I'm just making half of the object and not making the full object. Well, I'll give the simple answer to that is that it's easier to make one half and then mirror it over to the other half. It gives you more superb symmetry, because I think in my early Keyblades I used to make both sides individually, and I found out sometimes it didn't look right, like some parts just looked, you know, like you can tell when something's not symmetrical, right? And that was the feeling that I got. So nowadays, after learning how to flip objects, you can make things perfectly symmetrical. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to... What are we going to do? Okay, so we're going to do exactly that. We're going to flip it over to the other side. Okay. To do that, what we're going to do is we are going to hit A on the keyboard, select everything, go to Mesh, Mirror, and then hit Z Global. And as you can see, it will have flipped it. Alright. We can move it to the other side, but... So as you can see, we can now flip objects, right? We can flip objects basically by selecting what you want to flip, go to Mesh, Mirror, and then Z, and then X, Y, or Z, depending on which axis you want to flip it by. So we flipped it by the X axis earlier. Now, before we flip it, something I forgot to do earlier was we have to make a copy of the original, so that we have one on the left side and one on the right side. So let's just go and do that. To make a copy, it's very easy. You have to simply select what you want to copy. So I'm copying everything. So I'll hit A to select all. Shift D will make a copy of it, and then left click immediately. Right? And after it's done, and then you want to go to Mesh, Mirror, X Global, and now we have it. We have one here, and we have one here. And because we zeroed it on the Y-axis earlier, everything will be flat. So there's no you won't have the trouble having to flatten everything out again. Right. So now, how do we move this over to that side? You can move it. You can either move it manually, or you can transform it using the settings up here. So at the moment, the black parts are in a negative 0.43 distance from the Z-axis. We can very quickly move it to the other side by getting rid of the negative. So getting rid of the negative basically means that we are making it positive. And as you can see, it fits snugly. Alright, and as you can see, if you look closely here, the vertices aren't exactly connected. Look closely here. Can you see? It's orange here based on orange there, which means that there are two vertices here, one on top of the other. And sometimes to get rid of, you may be asking yourself, how do I basically make it so that the two vertices on top of each other meld or join to each other? Well, it's very simple. What you can do is, there are two ways of doing it. What you can do is hit B on the keyboard. Oh, sorry. Make sure you're in wireframe mode first before doing this. Wireframe mode, hit B, and then select the zone. And now you can see the double vertices are selected. Hit Alt M, and then you click. The menu for merge comes up, and now you click at center. And what it does basically means it merges it at the center. So now we have a continuous. Yeah. Okay. I think you get the idea. Now, I mean, that sounds pretty simple to do, especially if you have like 1 or 2 of those. But what if you have like say 25 or 35 of those? It becomes a bit of a hassle, right? Thankfully, Blender has found an easy way of doing it. What you can do is hit A, hit W, and then select remove doubles. And all the doubles that have been, or basically doubles is 2 vertices that are really close to each other or superimposed. If you hit remove doubles, it says removed 3 vertices up here, which means that 3 doubles are removed. So I'm guessing it was here, here, and here. Okay, so that's great. So now that that's done. Alright, so next what we want to do is we want to obviously make it into a solid object, because this is still a wireframe object. Can be very easily done. We have to make the polygons first. Polygons basically just joining 3 vertices together to make a triangle. So you want to make as many triangles as you can. Very simple. You right click one, hold down shift, right click another vertex and hit F. And you just rinse and repeat. So right click, shift, right click, F. Right click, shift, right click, F, and just rinse and repeat. Now you may argue, why didn't you do the triangle polygons before flipping it? Well, actually you can do it like that. I don't know, slipped my mind. You can do it any way you want, and still you end up with the same result in the end. So I'll just quickly do it. You can see how annoying this thing is. So you can make it go away by clicking this, and it will go away. Scroll over to your right side and just make more triangles. I usually have gotten into the habit of making my polygons symmetrical. It takes a bit of getting used to, but I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't look symmetrical, but it doesn't matter. I mean, after you've textured it, it looks the same. It looks, I mean, just as good. Alright, so now we have this. Alright, looks pretty cool, right? But still no face. It's still a bunch of strings attached to pins. How do we change that? Very simple. Not control. Hit A and hit F. And then, as you can see, it's now added a face to everything. As you can see by the strange transparent orange hue. But how do we make it solid? Well, recall that we are in wireframe mode. Go back to solid mode and you'll see your beautiful object. Now you may be asking, why is this part of this shape covered? Well, we can get rid of it very easily. We just have to highlight the vertices that surround the face that we want to get rid of. And you can tell when you've highlighted all the vertices because the face will light up orange, and that basically tells us, is this the face that you want to work with? And in our case we do. And if you recall, how do we delete objects? We delete objects by hitting X on the keypad. Now you may be seeing vertices, edges, faces, only edges and faces, and only faces. You're free to play around with these to see the effects, but if you hit vertices, it will delete the vertices as well and we'll be stuck at square 0. So I'm going to hit Ctrl Z, and we're going to, instead of selecting vertices, we're going to hit select only faces, and as you can see, it deletes only the faces, not the edges, not the vertices, only the face. Bleh. Not the edges, not the vertices, only the face. Okay? Right. So if you recall, the 2 parts, the handle and the handle guard from our previous tutorial, they've been basically hidden. Let's turn them back on. Right, and we can have a look at it from a 3D view by clicking and holding down the scroller. Now as you can see, it looks nothing like a Keyblade yet, right? Like, we've only got the handle so far. And you can see that this place looks a bit ugly, because I mean, we can see this part popping out. We want to hide this part somehow. And we can very easily do that by making this object come forward and then extruding the sides back. And I'll show you what I mean when I do that, alright? So go to front view. We're still in edit mode, by the way. We haven't changed that of it yet. So that's the glory of edit mode, is that we can view models from other objects while still editing our current object. Hit A to select everything. and then hit 3 to go to side view. Click on this thing that we turned off earlier, and now we're going to use the arrow. Alright, we're going to move it forwards. Move it forwards so that it now covers it. So this is from the front view. Can you see that it's covered it now? Yeah? Alright then, so now that it's covered it, go back. Now that it's covered it, we're going to try and make this part pop back or extrude backwards, and can be very easily done. I mean, you can select all the edges and do it like that, but there's a faster way of doing it, which is to hold Alt. So hold Alt and then click on anywhere along this area, and it will instantly highlight everything for you. Yeah, it doesn't always work. It works most of the time. It doesn't always work. And I think with some trial and error and enough messing around, you'd probably work out in which situations it doesn't work. But in this case, it works just fine. Okay. Go press free. Go to side view. Hit E to extrude, and then we are extruding it in the Y axis. So hit Y afterwards, and we can move it. Right. So just move it down to anywhere you want. And then if you come up here, you will see that the Y has moved 0.7 units in the positive direction. I want to zero out, so I'm going to change it to 0. Right? And I mean, it looks like it's only half of it, and you are absolutely right in saying it's half of it, because what we're going to do in the end is we're going to flip it on the other side, so that we have so that both sides are basically the same as each other. Instead of having to make one side and then make the other side, becomes a real problem. So just make one side, flip it to the other side. But anyway, that's what we do in the last part. For now, let's make the handle. So we've done this part. Let's make the outer part. Do the other half now. Click here by holding down Alt and then and left clicking. Sorry. Hold down Alt and then left click. No, there. Hold down Alt, then right click. So Alt, right click, hit 3, E to extrude, Y, and just rinse and repeat. Alright, and now you have it. Alright, I mean, you can still see the lines and everything. It looks a bit ugly. If you want lines to go away, it's very simple. You just have to basically exit edit mode by hitting tab. And there you have it. Hit 1, and you can see what it looks like in reference to the final object. So that's that. For this part down here, just basically, I mean, you can really just copy and paste this part up here, down here, or you can flip this part and put it down there. I might as well do it now, quickly. I mean, you can learn by observing me. If there's any questions you want to ask, feel free to write it in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer them when I can. So, right click, go into edit mode. Ooh, looks a bit bad. Let's go to wireframe mode. So Z to wireframe mode. I don't want everything. I just want that top part. All right, we'll go to hit B on the keyboard, select what you want, and then we're going to duplicate it. So Shift D, click, and then we just drag it down. Scroll down, drag it down. Yeah, this circle's a bit too big. Let's make it smaller. So we hit Alt, right click on this, and you'll select the circular part on top, and then we hit S to scale. Okay, all done. So it's in wireframe mode, so you don't see any faces. Change to solid mode and you will see faces, and there you have it. Oh yeah, if you wanted to know what I meant by flip, we make this side first, and then we can flip it on the opposite side very simply by duplicating it. So Control D, Object, Mirror, and we are flipping it on the Y-axis. So Object, Mirror, Y Global, and there you go. Can you see that? But in our cases, we're not up to that part yet. So that was just to demonstrate to you what I meant by flipping it, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we're just going to delete that for now. All right. So we now have the handle guard, and the hilt, and this thingamabob down here done. In our next tutorial, we're going to try and make this part. And I mean, if you've basically gotten the gist of making this part and this part, or this part isn't really all that different. It's just basically you know, just applying what you've learned. Anyway, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.